So, on behalf of People Strong and Microsoft, I'm very happy to welcome all of you for this webinar where we're discussing about reimagining employee experience and productivity with the help of a conversational chatbot. With me, I have my friend and colleague Harsimran, who is Vice President AI at PeopleStrong, and a new friend of mine, Vishruth, who is a product lead for Microsoft Teams. So welcome to both Harsimran and Vishruth, both of you, and thanks for taking time to doing this. Uh, I think without much further ado, I think we'll get started. For all the participants who are there, if there are any specific questions or specific expectations that you have from this particular conversation, while we have a particular flow that we have prepared based on our understanding of this topic and what we think is what would be on top of your mind. However, please share your questions and comments on the chat window, and we will pick them up as we go along. All right, so let me begin. I think we'll first start with how the chatbots have evolved over the last few years. And I think we have Harsimran, who is a very capable person to explain that evolution to us. So over to you, Harry, if you could take us through this briefly and tell us over how many years this kind of a evolution has happened and what you see is happen in the next few years as well.
Sure. So thank you, Amol, for the nice introduction. And hello, everyone. I would prefer if we keep this interactive. So please feel free to post any questions, queries, doubts that you have during the session. I will try to answer as many as possible during the presentation. And we have a specific slot at the end also to answer all the queries. So quickly starting off by telling how chatbots came into existence and then has evolved to a much larger AI role-based chatbots that we see today. So it all started by someone asking a question that, hey, a lot of people have been, or the HR team has been busy answering the same kind of FAQs to every employee. Is there a way to automate it? And can it be done in a way which is more engaging and not like an email or an automated system where I send an email regarding a query and I get an automatic response with certain answer. So that's where chatbot came into existence, saying, hey, yeah, why don't we make it more conversational and give you answers, or give employee an experience and an answer to what they want to ask regarding the policies or FAQs that you have standardized across your organization. But then soon it evolved into a work life assistant, which essentially means anything related to my work, which could be asking my leave balance or asking my attendance, my roster, or maybe a certain other data related queries that I started doing with my chatbot now. So essentially there are different ways of looking at the evolution of chatbot. So we started as a dumb chatbot. So FAQ automation, not really dumb, but yeah, that it's technically called as dumb chatbot. Then there's a pseudo intelligent chatbot. That's where the work life assistant part came into picture, where it can just understand what you're asking as a question, and instead of answering as a fixed answer, it used to query that kind of data. Let's say leave balance, if you're asking, it goes to the leave system and query the leave balance and spits out the answer to the user. And then that's when we came into an intelligent chatbot, where the experience is totally personalized, and the bot is able to understand the user well, understand the context of the user, understand what the user is asking, and can have real and meaningful conversations with the user to be able to understand what the user is asking, and then be able to assist, answer, and even guide. In a lot of these cases, guide, act as a coach, act as a mentor during the whole career and the learning and the performance of the user. So this is where chatbots are sitting right now. They have become quite intelligent, totally personalized. To give you an example of personalization, think of Netflix. I'm sure every one of you has used Netflix. So as and when you keep using Netflix, the recommendations keep on getting better. That's the AI which is built into Netflix to give you a better experience and make it more engaging. So that's where chatbot also has evolved to a place where it now understands which user is it talking, and at the back end the AI is continuously learning as and when you are as a user is interacting with the chatbot and giving you better and better conversations and experience over time,
All
right?
right, sure. Thank you, Harry. That was really insightful. We also have Vishrut from Microsoft, and I think what better person or better organization to talk about how this last couple of years have changed the whole game of collaboration, productivity, and employee experience than talk about Microsoft and Microsoft Teams. So, Vishrut, over to you. Actually, if you could tell us some of the key things that Microsoft has done around productivity, collaboration, and employee experience over the last few months.
Absolutely. Amol, thank you for, first of all, inviting me. Thanks to the People Strong team for inviting me. And Harry, thanks for that great context setting and walking us through like an evolution of chatbots and conversational systems, right? Uh, so I'll take a step back. I'll basically first quickly spend a couple of seconds on introducing Microsoft Teams if it is new for anyone on this webinar. So Microsoft Teams, as most people know, is the hub for teamwork in Microsoft 365. And essentially the product right from day one was imagined uh, uh, as a hub, right? So I mean, what it brings together in a single user interface is chat and group collaboration, because we all know like chat is where is the means through which work happens today. It actually brings like your files, your documents together. It actually is not just a chat and collaboration app, but also a unified communication app from Microsoft side. So you have your entire calling, meetings, live event infrastructure present with you as part of the Teams app. And the last but not the least, it is also imagined right from day one as a platform, right? And when we say it is imagined as a platform, it basically means people can actually build collaborative apps and workflows right within Teams, right? Now, this is actually a very important pillar when we imagine this product right from day one, is because if we bring your coworkers, your people, your documents, your communication infra together, but if we leave your workflows, your SaaS applications where we all spend a majority of our day today taking, taking decisions, accessing information, writing information back, accessing content and so on and so forth. If we actually don't bring all of that together in the system of, collaboration or on the workspace that people use, it's actually a broken story, right? So that's why Teams is built right from day one as a platform where intelligent apps, collaborative apps, personal productivity apps, and workflows can be built by developers and by SaaS companies like PeopleStrong. And what it essentially brings to the users is super powerful, right? It actually is a promise to make users productive in the flow of their work, right? We all today spend a lot of time switching between various tools and various systems, right? This was before Teams actually came in. We used to actually jump from like app A to app B, go back to the browser, go back to my email, maybe go back to like a mobile app, and this all uh, forces employees to actually lose focus. This all forces employees to actually lose time and leads to productivity and efficiency loss, right? Wherein what we want to get done is is actually take actions, take quick steps, complete my workflows, and go back to what makes me super productive, which is to actually collaborate with my coworkers and my fellow employees, right? That's the promise of Teams, and that's why through chatbots, through apps, through collaborative workflows built on Teams, it is actually a new way of doing things. And I'm so glad to actually see that People Strong is actually leading the way from an HCM solution, from a talent coach solution, right? Perspective. It is actually enabling enterprise users to basically be productive in the flow of their work, right? So super excited and really looking forward to all the great innovation that we can do together and bring to end users of PeopleStrong and Jinie on Microsoft Teams. Over to you, Amol.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in fact, I think for me personally, I think both these technologies or tools, so as a conversational chatbot or Microsoft of Teams as a tool, I think both existed even before the pandemic hit us. But I think the real potential of that and the real power of that has come to fore during this time, and hence I think we're now increasingly looking at what more we can do with what is available to us. So that's where we are very proud to present that Jinie, which is our PeopleStrong's chatbot, is the first HR chatbot which is integrated with Microsoft Teams. So it is right within the Teams environment. You can integrate Jinie, and if you've used the Microsoft Teams platform, then within the apps icon is where you would be able to add that, and then work with various storylines of Jinie seamlessly right from within the Microsoft Teams environment. And we obviously will talk about some of those use cases that we have primarily from a talent coach perspective. So, Harry, coming back to you in terms of what are some of the benefits that you think, and what are some of the reasons that we thought of creating this integrated Jinie within Microsoft Teams?
Absolutely. So, very rightly said. We start by understanding why this partnership is so important, how it can benefit the end user, which is you as a customer and your employees. So we start by the first thing that chatbots really made a difference was in the elevation of employee experience. And like Vishnu pointed out, the Microsoft Teams environment was created like a platform where it gives us a lot of capability in the form of adaptive cards and sort of other cards which can be leveraged to create superlative experiences in the chatbot. So we knew chatbot only as a textual in and out, but then Teams has helped us take that experience to the next level by leveraging a lot of those great cards and UI elements that it has provided us. It's very difficult to explain in word, but I'll definitely say just check it out. Once you can take a demo. If you're already a customer, please feel free to add Jinie of in Microsoft Teams and experience the experience that we provide within the Teams ecosystem. And the second biggest challenge that we heard from our customers was no more. I can't drive change management for one more application. So I have enough applications already. But then when you're using Microsoft Teams, you're already into the ecosystem. You're already using it day to day in your meetings, in your collaboration. So your change management is almost close to zero now. Microsoft Teams has like more than 145 million users, and they're using it almost daily for their meetings. Now imagine Jinie is available to you in the flow of work. So you don't have to go to a new browser. You don't have to go anywhere else to access Jinie or have conversations with Jinie. It is available there. So your change management is almost zero. It's as simple as that. Having your employees add Jinie in Teams, that's it. That's the only change that you would need to create within your organization, and it's set up. So that's as easy as that, right? So that's another advantage we give you. The third is the one interface, because you're already using Teams as the interface for collaboration. So it Jinie then becomes your gateway or the interface to execute all your HR workflows from that single interface. So be it your leave, recruitment, learning, performance, any sort of transaction that you want to do, or any sort of data you need to access related to your HR workflows, it's available to you through Jinie, and Jinie within Teams, of course. And at the same time, this creates an environment of engagement for your complete organization. So we'll talk about certain use cases, how you can drive engagement through Jinie, run pulse surveys, understand while your employees are having meetings and collaboration within Teams, are they still engaged? So there's one point of having collaboration, but are they engaged in those collaboration? Is just like, oh no, I have to do it because my manager has called for a meeting. So are they really engaged and being productive as they should be? Right. And helping them, uh, like we used to say, I have household chores, at the same time I have some work chores, like I missed marking my attendance, but I have to regularize it so that I don't miss on getting that pay for that day, right? Because I did attend and I did work for that day. So those are like my work chores that I need to do, even though that's not my core part of my job, but I still have to do so that the sanity is ensured. That's where smart nudges from Jinie comes into picture. Jinie would take care of all those chores from you, remind you to take action at the right time so that it does not affect your work, does not take your mind space. Because at the back of the mind, I'll still say I have missed certain regularization, my pay might get cut. What do I do? Should I go do now, or should I focus on my work? So that mind space, that small thing would take, effectively makes your productivity loss. That's where Jinie comes into picture. You don't have to remember anything. Jinie will come right to you, knocking at your door, saying, "Hey, you've missed your attendance. Why don't you regularize right now?" At the click of a button, it's done from then and there itself. So the work is taken care of. So a lot of these advantages that you will get once you start leveraging Jinie into the Teams ecosystem becomes your one interface without any change management.
Yeah. Vishnu, anything that you would like to add to this?
No, I think just to add, I think as Harsimran has nicely summarized these three categories, right? What I would actually just simply add to this is, as we evolve this partnership, as we evolve the experience, and as we get user feedback, right? What is going to be a key area for us to explore further is how can we actually go beyond personal productivity workflows, and is there an opportunity for us to actually build collaborative workflows? Because if you actually look at it, all your co-workers, so in a typical employee manager situation, where when let's say one is applying for a leave, or there's a particular approval kind of a scenario, right? This is the first time when both parties in real time are existing on a single workspace or a single system, right? So this actually provides us to actually build a lot more collaborative app experiences that can actually help people take decisions, like not only complete like your personal workflows, but also take decisions, also engage with each other in a much more real time and in a much more seamless manner, without switching context, without taking the extra load, right? So I think the
Yeah.
future of talent coach conversational experiences is it has a lot of potential if we actually can explore a lot more collaborative scenarios and hear back from customers as to what those scenarios will be, right? That's just something that I want to kind of leave as a thought with, and also as seed this thought when we move for the Q&A section, if any of our customers and webinar attendees have ideas on this.
Sure. Yeah, I think very, very valid point, Vishnu. Because I think while the Jinie chatbot, and while we are talking specifically from an HR use case perspective, I think the technology that exists within Jinie and within Microsoft Team is, I think, wide open for all kinds of business applications for this, right?
Yep.
Where then any kind of other micro transactions, which then I have to connect to other business systems, could also then be done
Absolutely.
via Jinie itself. I think that's a very
Absolutely.
valid point that
Yep.
we're talking about. But I think for this conversation, we'll focus on how that happens from a HR on an employee perspective. So I think this is kind of a lay of the land, and again, I will ask Harry to quickly walk us through that.
Right. So rightly said, Vishrut and Amol. So this becomes a more personalized to the user and within the context of collaboration. And just to add an example to what Vishrut pointed out is, let's say I have applied for a leave. That's my personal transaction, but at the same time, my manager has to approve it. So why can't I? So manager might want to ask a query saying why you're going, how long you're going, when would you be back? So all of those sort of questions. So when a user applies leave in Jinie, imagine a discussion opens up between the user and the manager saying this person has applied for leave, and the manager can then have conversation and apply the leave within that collaborative piece as well. Right, so a lot of these opportunities open up when once we start exploring both the platforms and the synergies between them. So very well said, Vishal. And taking it to the next level, imagine not just your HR transactions, but anything and everything that you want to do in your work becomes available to you within that one interface of Jinie in Teams. Right. So imagine your HRMS, your recruitment, all your HCM systems, and even your business apps like CRM and IT system, uh, which have your APIs available, gets connected to Jinie. Jinie giving you that experience in Teams, creating engagement at the same time through different smart nudges and insights and mood pulse and many other things, allows you to not, of course, where we evolved from the help desk automation to now talking about productivity, engagement, and coaching. all of that converges into that one interface, and that too in a conversational manner. So we know our generation, all the generations are now hooked onto WhatsApp or whatnot. We want to just chat. We are no longer interested in having conversations on video or on audio. We want to have conversations more in a chat format. Not saying that we can't do a voice interaction with Jinie or within Teams. So all that is of course available, but people prefer more to have chat conversations. So we can do all of that, and you can, while conversing, you can access information. Let's say I want to know how is my pipeline for my let's say North sales team doing. Jinie asks that question. Jinie connects to your CRM, get that information, and pulls it out for you. So you can do all of those things, create one experience of conversations on top of all your layers. Microsoft Team itself gives you a platform where all your SaaS software sit inside it. You don't need to go outside to the browser. We took it to the next level where Jinie becomes that one interface within Teams where you don't need to go to any other application and not interact with different experiences of each application. So if you have a CRM has a different experience, your HR system has a different experience, your IT system has a third experience. Why don't we give you one experience within that platform and give you one experience to access all of that information in a chat and a conversational manner? That's where we have taken Jinie to the next level.
All right, all right. I think we'll with that we'll now go and explore some of the specific use cases from a talent coach perspective. So I will now ask Harry to kind of walk us through. Harry, just let me know whenever you want me to move to the next slide, please.
Sure, sure. So we have picked up certain of the use cases because as we saw the evolution, we have gone from FAQ automation to assistant to now becoming a coach. So just to make you get the feel of what I really mean by making Jinie as talent coach, just we've picked up few use cases in some of these categories of talent, so that you know what all it is capable of doing. So if I talk about employee and just look at the GIF in the first left side image. So for an employee, we nudge the employee to do a mood check-in. So it can be configured to be done daily, weekly, or fortnightly, however you prefer to it. And basis the response of the user, Jinie becomes that coach and assists the user to understand if the user is not feeling, let's say, happy on a particular mood check-in. He says, I'm not feeling good. The Jinie prompts the user saying, hey, why are you not feeling good? Is it a health concern? Is it a work-related concern? Or some other concern? If the user clicks, let's say I have a health concern, it says, do you want to search for doctors? Right? So that's where it's having that conversation and giving the user that personalized value that it should get, right? And at the same time, for the manager or the leader of the organization, I might not want to check how is my team doing on the mood. If I say check my mood score of my team, it gives me a sort of a benchmark of my team versus the organization. It might say, hey, your team is 3.8 on the scale of happiness, but your organization is at 4. You really need to figure out something, or do you want to connect with your team to understand why they're unhappy, or if there's anything going on that is making them unhappy. And at the same time, you can schedule a meeting through Jinie itself. And of course, your Microsoft Teams meeting gets set up through that same interface of Jinie, where it looks up the calendar of each of the team member and the manager, suggests some slot saying, hey, I can see tomorrow and on Friday the slot is available. Which one do you want to choose? So I click on it and the meeting gets scheduled, right? So that's taking the engagement to the next level where each of the interaction is personalized, even for the employee and the manager, right? Amol, we can move ahead. Now, from engagement, we talk about productivity. So, for a business leader, all I am really concerned about, how is my organization doing? Is everyone performing to the best of their abilities, or is there a bottleneck that I, as a leader, needs to look at? And how can I essentially add value wherever the bottleneck in the organization is? That's the role of every business leader, to understand if the business is functioning properly, and try to strategize and remove any bottlenecks so the organization keeps moving as fast as possible in an agile manner. That's where, if I want to look at the goals or the status of goals in my organization, how many are in red, how many in amber or green, and then I can drill down. Imagine a CEO looking at its direct reportees to see how they are performing, and then going a level deeper, it might say, oh, I see that technology is not functioning really well, so let me see what's going on. So CTO reports to CEO, then I go a level deeper saying, let me look at CTO's report is. So then it goes to the VPs and the directors to see if their goals are in alignment. A red flag in any one of them goes a level deeper to it can so CEO can actually go down to the developer level to understand where is the actual bottleneck, and don't have to go to anyone, don't have to talk to anyone, don't have to create a review meeting or schedule any sort of meeting to understand where the bottleneck in the organization is. And the CEO can just directly talk to that developer saying, hey, I see that your goals are in red, is there anything that I can help to remove those bottleneck? Maybe the developer is not having access to the right laptop, or the laptop crashed, so the goals are in red, right? I'm not being serviced well. So going to that level to be able to understand the right challenges in the organization and removing them so that the productivity is not hampered. That's where the drill down of that whole uh, architecture of the organization and the hierarchy of the organization can be done by anyone, top to bottom, to understand and review goals and take action necessary to increase the productivity. Right. So that's where the talent productivity as a coach comes into picture. We can go ahead. Right. And at the same time, so whenever I'm working, learning is of the utmost important. New so technology is evolving as much faster than we can consume it, right? And to stay up to date with all of those learning requirements, upskilling myself for the current role, upskilling myself for the next role, because everyone wants to get a promotion, right? Who will not want a promotion every single year? But to go to the next level is not just about working hard for my current role, but to also be ready to take up the challenges and the responsibilities of the next role. Me as a user, I might have conversations with my manager, might have a conversation with my skip level manager to understand how the roles evolve if I have to go from my current role. So if I need to perform better in my current role to deserve an appreciation and then be considered to the next role, I can just ask Ginny, say, I want to upskill for my current role because I think I'm like 80% there, but I'm still think there's room to grow so that I can perform better in my current role. So I just go to Ginny saying, hey, show me how can I upskill for my current role, right? Or show me my learning path. The Genie would understand, hey, I see that you've, based on your performance and the feedback from your manager, I see out of your 5 skills, let's say one of the skills is where you're lacking. Why don't you pick up this course, learn and grow in your current role? And the user says, okay, let me I show me courses, let's say for team management. Genie goes back to your learning system, whatever the catalog of courses you have available, which is available for that skill, ranks it according to the level that the user is at. Let's say you have 3 level of courses in your learning catalog saying team management level 1, level 2, level 3. If the user is at level 2, Genie understands that's the personalized recommendation that gets generated saying, hey, you're already at level 2, so I would recommend the level 3 team management course for you so that you have grown in your current role. And at the same time, I want to understand how can I upskill for my next role. So when I say upskill for my next role, the first question comes, what can possibly be my next role? So it gives you a career path. Based on your current role, you can either take route one, to, let's say, as a developer, to the CTO role, or you can take, let's say, part two to becoming an architect, right? So that's where it gives you options based on your current role. This is the career path that you can do, completely personalized. And whenever you choose a career path, it then gives you recommendations saying, hey, to go to that next level, there are these 3 skills or these 3 capabilities that you need to build so that you can then become ready for the next level. That's where when you choose, okay, I want to learn this capability or this skill, and again the learning recommendation from the courses, which can be from MOOCs or your learning system, comes into picture. So that's where Chini is now proactively helping the user and coaching the user to be able to grow in their current role and also to grow to the next level, right? So mentoring and coaching is the aspect which is getting highlighted here, which
Yeah. So
we
and
were.
Harry,
Sure.
sorry, Amol here. So this is one of my favorite ones, but you mentioned about the courses in my LMS. But if my LMS does not have those courses, will the system also take me to an open source system, something which is available on the web, and will that come up here as well?
Absolutely. So we have connected with a lot of different open systems like Udemy, Coursera, edX, and multiple others. So if you see even in the image, you see Udemy courses being showed up. So first, it will give preference to anything that is available in your LMS. If something is not available, it goes out on the internet, connect to the moves, and give you the relevant courses.
All right. I think that's pretty cool. You want me to move to the next one?
Yes, please. Yeah. So uh, hiring, I know a lot of you would connect to this, is always and has been the biggest pain of everyone, be it the recruiters, be it the hiring managers, the organization as a whole. Uh, we have tried to ease that problem as much as possible. I won't say solve it, but definitely ease and give you visibility on how it's performing. So as a hiring manager, most of the time that I'm talking to the recruiter is either regarding the shortlisting or just following up saying, hey, what's happening with my job? I have not received any resumes. I have not been getting right candidates. I'm not getting interviews. I don't know when is my interview. So all of those to and fro, I'm sure a lot of HR folks here would be able to relate to this. Imagine your workload of following of hiring manager coming to you and following up, and me as a hiring manager wanting that information is now readily available on Genie. I can just say show the health of my jobs. If I'm hiring for, let's say, multiple positions, it gives me a view as a recruiter and as a hiring manager saying, hey, there are like five jobs stacked to you and three are in red, four are in amber, or one is in green. And then I can say, show me the red jobs. I want to see why they're in red. If I click on it, show me the list of all the red jobs, and then I can go level deeper to understand why is it red. Show me the pipeline. So the pipeline would essentially show there are like no shortlisted candidates for this job, that's why it's red, or there are shortlisted candidates, but at the same time no interview has been conducted or been scheduled. So end to end visibility of what's happening with my jobs as a recruiter and as a hiring manager is available to me as and when needed on the go. And that essentially solves all the visibility problems and the all the connect problems or the gaps. So whatever leads to delays in hiring, we have tried to remove that and ease that whole idea of getting information, so that if your hiring takes 40 days, I'm not saying I'm going to reduce it to 10 days, but I can save you at least 3 to 4 days, which goes on in meetings and conversations just to get this information and then having conversation on that. Imagine you seeing this information, and then you're sitting inside teams. You, the hiring manager, can then talk to recruiter saying, hey, I see that you haven't shortlisted anything for this job and this is a priority one job for me. Can we do something around it? Can we sit together and do anything? So instead of creating a meeting just to get information on, hey, what's happening with my job, the conversation has become more meaningful to, hey, I see this job is now in red, can we do something about it and get the hiring process done faster. So your whole context is changed, your productivity has increased, and your conversations have become more meaningful, right? So that's where we are taking it to making more productive and more talent oriented conversation than simple review meetings and getting information meetings, right? So that's where it takes a notch higher. Next, right? So now the question comes, I've seen a lot of use cases for an employee, for a manager, or for a hiring manager, for a recruiter, for an HR, but I am the business leader or I am the CEO. What's in it for me, right? Or I am the CHR, or what's in it for me? I have my team working, everything. That's where, so as a leader, I want to see data and make certain decisions so that I can make my organization more meaningful, more productive, and more agile, so that it can perform the best of its ability and achieve its goal, right? But the first question is, how do I get data? I need to either log into an HR analytics system, I then log into my CRM analytics system, I log into my finance system to be able to get different information and then try to make sense out of it. I need to log in, I need to go to multiple systems. So again, the same problem, right? But imagine I can access that information in conversations and take decisions on the go. I talk about goals, right? So I start with first example, which is your joining versus exit analytics. I asked Jinie, can you show me this analytics? Jinie comes out with an image saying, hey, I can see your joinings going up, and at the same time, your exits are also going up. You might want to see what's happening. So you go into interactive mode, you apply certain filters saying, what happened here? What's the department where attrition is higher? Or are my best performers leaving? Or the attrition is a good attrition where my overall productivity is increased after this attrition. Maybe certain people who are not performing well has left, right? So getting that information and making sense can be done now within Genie, right? And at the same time, you can access information not just around your HR analytics. You'll be able to access information of any dashboard system that is available in the world. I say, show me the pipeline or show me the sales performance for the last year. So the performance might be sitting in your CRM, but your employee performance will be sitting in your HR performance system, right? So Genie can essentially bring both of those information within that interface so that you can make sense out of it. It gives you your sales number, it gives you the performance or the performance rating of your sales folks, bring it to you, give it to you. Now you make sense out of it. And then once you made sense, your next step is taking action on it, either calling a meeting or talking to the person, talking to the manager or the director. You're sitting within Microsoft Teams ecosystem, correct? So while you're accessing information, you can do the collaboration within that same platform and become more productive, right? And similarly, a lot of these interactive charts can then be accessed, decisions can be made, conversations can be had, and the bottlenecks can be removed, right? So we talk about
Yeah.
having my personalized analytics and conversations where Genie is now giving out, having conversations, mentoring people, coaching people on their learning, on their career, on their goals, and a lot of other things. So this is just a sneak peek into certain use cases. A lot more is available. And before moving on to what analytics Genie would be able to give you at an organization level, Amol, over to you.
Yeah, Harry, thank you for that. I think those are really interesting use cases, and like I said, there are some of them that are my personal favorites. But I would actually like to turn to Vishrut at this stage, and just want to hear from him on a couple of these use cases, and how do you see this, helping companies, and especially in the MS Teams environment. If you could say a few
Yeah,
words there, Vishrut.
thanks, Amol. Yeah, absolutely loved the showcase of all of the various use cases. Particularly enjoyed the fact that each one is focused on a different kind of a persona, right? So the breadth that it covers from, say, an individual contributor to a manager to moving all the way up to like a CXO who gets like a bird eye view of the organization. That's actually what makes this like really exciting, right? The common thread across all of this is it's very intuitive, right? All of these use cases are super intuitive. The user is not struggling, right? And that's something that uh, uh, like uh, for good or for bad, HRMS systems have traditionally been known to be complex. They've traditionally been known to be non-intuitive, and I think that's really where Genie integrated with Microsoft Teams, this experience just takes the friction out of it, right? So it's so intuitive, so seamless, and it's literally tailor-made for the role that is actually using it, right? I was actually looking at the screens when Harsimran was actually talking through, and it is actually role aware as well. So if I, as a hiring manager, if I have multiple hats that I actually don, it will actually ask me and prompt me just like a coach, right? Just as a talent coach, just as a personal assistant for me, it will actually do the unexpected by literally leading me towards the right decision or the right input, rather than getting stuck on making me do all the hard work, right? So I think that's something that is that kind of comes across to me as like very intuitively built, very well built. The cards, as Harsimran was saying right at the beginning of the webinar, that's what makes the user interface very pleasant. Everything that he showed was on mobile. All of these cards, all of these interfaces look as beautiful and as intuitive and as usable on the larger screen as well, right? So wherever the user is, now your workflows, your information actually travels with you. So if you're a busy executive, you can actually take out your mobile, switch to Teams, access Jinie, and all of your information, all of your insight is there, right? If you are a desk worker, you can do the same thing in the while sitting on your PC or on your laptop in the office itself, right? So I think this is a fundamental change, right? I mean, a lot of times HRMS systems are actually locked behind corporate firewalls. So you really need to actually go sit on like a dedicated PC or within the company network to actually securely access your payroll details, your leave details, your insights for your company, and then so on and so forth. But now, because Teams is secure, it's built on Microsoft 365. Employees and leaders in organizations are now empowered to access all of this information and take actions and draw out these insights on the go as well, because it's all a secure environment, right? So I think those are some of the things and the broad strokes that I was making a note of, when Harsimran was actually walking through this. Super insightful, and really, really great to see the richness of use cases that Jinie is powering today.
Yeah. We should thank you for that. And I think just a note for all our participants that while these are flowing beautifully, there is a lot of hard work and there's a lot of data that goes behind it. I think on the other end of this is then as a admin or as an HR user of this, you would also then want to look at, or even from a business point of view, I think we're going to talk about two aspects: that what kind of analytics and insight that an organization will get by using some of these, as well as how do I actually ensure that more and more people use this. So the next 10 to 15 minutes is what we're going to talk about these two aspects. So the first one is, of course, what insights I can get once my people start using this system is the first one of that. And then I'm again inviting Harsimran to walk us through that.
Sure, absolutely. So we have looked at how Jinie can be interacted with and used. When you're interacting with system, a lot of data gets generated, but to be able to make sense out of that data and uh, extract meaningful insights is where, as an organization, we can make more use of all these interactions and make better uh, adoption, can make better, let's say, decisions from all of this data. That's where we give you that capability as well, doing all the crunching of those data and giving you what is relevant to you at that point in time. So we start with as basic as showing you how Jinie is being utilized in your organization. We show you how many total queries have been asked, how many were answered by Jinie, and how many were unanswered. uh, Being the service provider for a chatbot, we might like to claim saying, hey, we use AI and it's absolutely intuitive and gives you answer to all of your queries. But at the same time, we all know AI is as good as the data it gets, right? If we don't give it sufficient data to learn, we don't train Genie on certain set of queries, there will be certain unanswered queries. So that's where we partner with you as an organization and walk hand in hand to help you evolve Genie to suit more and more to your organization. I gave you the example of Netflix. The more you use it, the better it gets. Similarly, the more your employees use Genie, the more data we get, and the better we can make Genie, so that next time when a user uses or interacts with Genie, it's even more meaningful and even more useful for them, right? So it's a continuous process. So we keep training the AI, the better it keeps getting. We have seen a journey of, let's say, 3 to 6 months is where your data starts getting generated. People do get a lot of information, but after that 3 to 6 months of gestation period, the it's almost like an exponential increase, or exponential value that the Genie starts giving your users, because Genie now understands each user, generates personalized recommendation, and then being able to give you that coach and mentorship that is required for every individual, right? So that's where, and this is a bird's eye view of how Jinie is being interacted with right now. Very critical in the starting phase, and in later phases, it's used more as a confidence saying, "Hey, I've invested right in the right system, and now it's giving me value." So I can just have that confidence over time, saying that yes, Jinie is being valuable to my organization. So next one, Amal. And now I even spoke about the engagement piece, right? Genie is not just about being coached and mentored to your organization, but it's also meant to engage your users. So what's the point of uh, giving that experience to your users if they do not want to interact with Genie or have no engagement with your organization, right? That's where a mood pulse is really important, to know which team members or which employees of your organizations are engaged, which ones are disengaged. Are they, so the ones that are engaged, are they being productive? You can have correlation between your performance, you can have correlation between your engagement and your productivity, performance, and all of those things. But it starts as basic as knowing how many people have been at least responding to the pulse on Genie. That's also in itself a metric, saying if someone is not responding, the person is like, hey, I don't care, whatever's happening in this organization, I don't care about it, right? That's your first metrics that comes into play, saying you can see overall across different geographies or different departments, saying how people have participated, which ones are participating more, which ones are participating less, your gender breakup, and all of those different breakups you can see with your first insights based on your participation. Now, if we go next, take it to the next level. After the users have participated, what are they responding to? How many people are saying they're they're feeling awesome, they're feeling happy, sad, gloomy, or good? So you get a breakup of that, and at the same time you get a score and an overall mood of your organization. Uh, let's say the average of your mood is 3.59. Now, what is that 3.59? Is it good? Is it very great? How do you even make sense of that number, right? That's where we take it to the next level, and we start giving you benchmarks. Let's say you're a manufacturing organization, or let's say you're a BFSI organization. You have a score of 3.59. Now that's when we start showing you different benchmarks. So average mood score of BFSI industry is, let's say, 3.2 or let's say 3.7. So based on your score being higher than the average, we are saying you're doing great, continue doing whatever you're doing, and keep on investing more on Genie so that the engagement stays above the average. But if you're lower than the average, that's where the insights will tell you, hey, I see people disengage from your organization or not very happy. And then you can drill down, saying your happiness score was increasing from September, October, November, and suddenly it dipped down in December. Then when you go into December, it will show you, hey, I see that in December, let's say your production, your manufacturing production, people were not happy. You can drill down saying, hey, it's the production people were not happy. Now if you go to next level, why production people were not happy? Maybe one assembly line of your production was not happy. So you can just keep drilling down to understand why there's disengagement, or why the people are not happy now in December, and what has changed from November to December that it suddenly dropped down, right? You get all of those insights and generate more and more engagement and happiness in your organization. And we all know, the happier the people, the better the productivity and the growth of the organization, right? So that's understood. These are some of the insights that we try to give you to drive more value at an organization level, not just at the employee engagement or the interaction or whatever we looked at the coach. This is a bird's eye view, and as a leader, your next step of actions will depend on the insights that we give you here.
Sure. So I hope by now many of you are asking that how do I get this and how do I enable this for my organization. So we have two paths for you. If you are an existing customer, my colleague will paste these both the links in the chat window as we speak. So we will be conducting a more detailed Genie admin training where we will show you all the features and functionalities that can be enabled for your organization, and a lot of that is in the do-it-yourself or DIY mode, where we will also work with you to ensure that these are then enabled for your organization. So if you are an existing customer, please click on this link and register your interest. Your respective customer success team member will then get in touch with you and take that forward with you. However, if you're not an existing customer of PeopleStrong and you want a more specific demo and want to evaluate this further, please click on this link and register on this link. And then somebody from our sales and solutions team will get in touch with you and take this conversation forward. If you have any questions at this stage, anything more that you would like to understand, please feel free to post them in the Q&A or in the chat window, and we are more than happy to take those questions. Fine. So moving from here, now I think the last part of the presentation, and we intentionally kept this as the last part. Even if we do all of this that we've talked about so far, when we were discussing about how we want to lay this out, we realized that the real business value, when a business leader will look at this and say that, okay, fine, I will do this, but how will I, measure the business value of it? It actually comes from adoption, right? And hence, what are some of the tips that we have as both PeopleStrong and Microsoft that we would like to share with you to improve adoption of such an initiative is what we'll talk about. And I'll actually first go to Vishrut and ask him to give us few nuggets of information from his vast experience about what, according to him, will work to drive this kind of an experience, and what are some of the tips that he would like to share with the participants to drive adoption. Vishrut, over to you.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks, Amol. Yes. So couple of things I think that I can actually opine on based on previous experience, right? Definitely, like adoption of conversational experiences like Jinie, they work best if you actually make it as a habit, right? So right from the central team or the HR team that actually drives this change management in the organization. While it's very easy to actually do that, it's not heavy lifting, but if the change management team can actually make this as a habit, or kind of like weave the usage of Jinie, maybe starting with just 1 or 2 workflows, into the daily habit or the weekly habit for employees, like that's the easiest way to get people hooked onto the Jinie experience, right? The way the app has been designed will take care of actually making it a favorite for the end users, right? I mean, what the HR team just needs to do is to basically ensure that it's easily accessible or easily discoverable in Teams. The quickest way of doing this is to actually have Jinie's personal app in Teams pinned on the left rail for all the users in the organization, right? So that's like the easiest way to get the app discovered. The user does not have to go install it in the store. We have APIs. We have the admin, the IT admin of the organization can quickly go to the Teams admin portal and basically install as well as pin the app on the left rail of Teams. That will make sure that the app is discoverable for both desktop or web users as well as the mobile users in your organization. And an icon of Jinie will actually start showing up for the users. And the moment that lights up for the users know that they have access to all of their HR workflows, and the talent coach is right there within Teams to help them out. So that's like number one. Number two, that we've actually seen a number of customers successfully do with apps built on Teams is to actually tie it as an in at least one of the administrative processes that employees need to follow, maybe on a daily or a weekly basis, right? So the easiest way to do it is, if you have now a process which is enabled in Jinie, encourage employees to actually go and complete that workflow, maybe your leave attendance or your attendance regularization or your time off applications. These things can actually be the employees can be asked to do this within the Teams app of Jinie. The easiest way of doing it, or a more drastic way of actually doing this, is to actually switch off the access to the age-old system or the old system of doing it in the web, right? So just direct all the users to say, hey, you will see the Jinie icon in the Teams left rail or on your Teams mobile app. Just go, and these 3 workflows are now only accessible through Jinie, right? So the moment you actually do that, the employees will basically we appreciate the fact that they don't have to now go leave Teams and go discover some other website or some other application in the browser. They can do it from the comfort of Teams, and in the process, you are actually making it as a habit forming thing for the end users. So those two things, in my opinion, like work 100% of the time. Would invite actually Amol and Harsimran to add more from their experience.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think that was
absolutely.
a
Yeah.
beautiful ones. Yeah. Over to you, Harry, to add more to that.
Yes, so absolutely we should, and in fact to share with our users. So there's a common customer of Microsoft and People Strong, where we in fact did just exactly these just two things, and it suddenly spiked up the usage, and now the experience and the usage has suddenly I think gone up from 10% to at least 50 to 60%. So that's where we have seen just pinning it to the left tab on Microsoft Teams and directing all such workflows, not all of them, but we started with few of them, directing only through Jinie in Teams and not making it accessible through the HRMS system, has in fact created a lot of convergence of users coming to this. And once it becomes a habit, we know that once a user starts using these three interactions within Teams and not going to the HRMS system, they're more likely to continue doing the rest of the workflows here itself. Why would I do only three here and then go back to the HR system to do the remaining, when all of that can be done here and now I'm used to? So it's all about building habits, right? We as humans uh, like to resist change. We don't really like change. We are comfortable in our zone, and we're comfortable in what we know and how we do it, right? Once we start, so there has to be a little bit of push, like Vishnu said. We push them by creating some administrative tasks here, but once they get used to it, now their new comfort zone is Ginny. So now once Ginny is their comfort zone, they won't go anywhere else, and suddenly you'll see a lot of exponential increase in the usage, right? So these are just few tips that we would wanted to share, and we have practically seen it happening in a lot of our customers.